Building muscle in your 30s and beyond. How do you do it? Once you turn 29, right into that 30 mark, things change. Oh, and I used to hear this all the time. I started in the fitness industry really, really young. I was 14 when I started working with clients as soon as I turned 18. And I have heard from the moment I started at 14 till today, wait till you get older, things change. Yes, things change, but it's more about the circumstances that you're in that change than your body physically, physiologically changing. What built muscle and what got you into good shape in your 20s still will work to get you in good shape in your 30s, 40s, and 50s, but now in your 30s, 40s, and 50s, you're a little more beat up. Life has happened to you, right? You have a little more mileage, so to say. So what changes? How do you build more muscle? How do you change your body composition after 30? What do you do? Well, the answer is very, very simple. First and foremost, your nutrition always needs to stay the same. Your nutrition should never really change. You need to get on an approach that works for you. I always recommend flexible dieting, and that is the best way because it allows you to live life. You could still have cake, pizza, cookies, whatever the things that you want, as long as you factor them into your nutrition and your daily day of eating. So it will allow for long-term adherence. Plus, you also look at nutrition differently when you follow flexible dieting, meaning that instead of looking at this food is healthy, this food is not healthy, now you're looking at it as, okay, this food has 500 calories, this food has 700 calories, I'm gonna save the calories and have this instead. Or, okay, I really want this 700 calorie thing, so what do I have to alter in my diet to fit this in? So that's first and foremost. You need to be practicing flexible dieting. If you don't know how to do that, just click that link below and you can pick up the product that we have for that. That's right below. But what about training, right? What changes with training? And like I said, the thing that changes the most is you have mileage on your body now. So maybe you've had some injuries. Maybe some things have happened. You hurt your shoulder, you hurt your back, your knees, something happened, whatever, those things happen. So you take the principles that worked when you were younger and you just apply them now, except you have to learn how to modify things. So let's give an example. You hurt your back, I don't know, whatever, you hurt your back, you herniated some discs in your back. So obviously, when you were younger, you were probably deadlifting heavier, squatting heavier, and just kind of being a little bit of a maniac when it came to fitness. Now, because you have some injuries, you just have to train smarter. So you do more core work, you do more abdominal work to help strengthen up that entire core to keep your back tight and strong. And maybe you still do deadlifts and squats, but you do them differently. You focus more on your form, you focus more on feeling those movements and taking your time with them, focusing, like I said, on the form and the quality of each rep. Whereas in your 20s, you're just kind of banging the weights, slanging and banging, as The Rock says. You kind of have to just slow down a little bit, but you're still doing the same thing then. You're still applying the same principle, and that principle is progression, right? You're still getting better at that movement, and that's ultimately what the difference is between working out and training. When you go for a workout, you're kind of just working out. You're sweating, you're just exercising, your heart rate's up, but when you're training, you're doing something with purpose, meaning that you're training with progression. More reps, more sets, more weight, so on and so forth. I'll give you a better example. So I herniated two discs in my back. I have to think how long ago that was. I don't even know. Probably, I'll say about 8 years ago or so. And I was doing something stupid in the gym. I was in my 20s and I just felt a pop in my leg. It felt like someone kicked me in the back of my leg as I was doing my workout. So a lot of pain, blah, blah, blah. And I wasn't doing anything competitively. I was competing in bodybuilding at the time, but nothing competitively as far as like lifting goes. So as I've gotten older in my career, I decided I want to do powerlifting. But I had those previous injuries. So what happens, right? What do? I have these other injuries. I'm getting older now. People say that, you're older now, you shouldn't be doing that. I competed in powerlifting and was ranked very, very high. I was actually 4th in New York for my weight class. I live in New York. I was 4th in New York in my weight class at the time. And I did that with issues. My back, the herniated disc in my back. I still managed to do that. Again, training differently, training smarter. The principles still stay the same, but the progression in the way that I did things changed. I trained with much more purpose as I've gotten older, as opposed to when I was younger and I was kind of like a wild man and just did anything. So that's one of the major differences. Your diet always has to be steady, which my diet has never really changed. But the thing that changed the most as you get older, 30s, 40s, and 50s, you have to train with purpose. Meaning that you have to take your time when you go through your routine. You have to structure your routine and say, okay, what's working, what's not working? This movement hurts when I do this. So that means that I need to replace this movement with this movement. For example, I'll use myself as an example. My herniated disc, what bothered me the most, I wouldn't even say it bothered me the most, but high rep deadlifts just bothered my back. So it just bothered my back. So I could never really do high rep deadlifts in my program. So I just took that out. But I could do low reps. Obviously, I have to compete in powerlifting. That's a heavy single. So I could do low reps with no problem, but anything over 3 to 5 reps and it would bother my back. But every other movement was fine. Stiff leg deadlifts were fine. RDLs were fine. All those other movements were totally fine. But anytime I just did more reps on deadlifts, it really bothered my back. So I just avoided doing higher reps. It's very simple. It's just about listening to your body. So to answer the question, how do you train beyond in your 30s and beyond? Nothing really changes except you train actually smarter, because now you have more years under your belt. You kind of know what works and you kind of know what doesn't. But I would say this, when you're in the gym and your body's an experiment, you always have to be doing things to figure out what you could be doing better. But one of the things you need to be doing is you need to be understanding, okay, when I do this movement, I don't really feel it where I'm supposed to feel it. Or when I do this movement, it doesn't feel comfortable. Then instantly you swap out that movement for one that's an alternative that replaces that movement so you actually feel it in the target muscle. And I talk about this all the time. It's in my arm program, so if you click that link below, you can pick up the arm program as well. But in the arm program, I talk about how barbell curls for me didn't really work. It wasn't until I switched to dumbbell curls that I actually noticed a big difference in my bicep development and in that change in that area. So you have to just find what works for you. That's it. Very simple. Nothing else changes. You just actually get smarter as you in your lifting career the longer and longer you do this. But like I said, the issue becomes when you kind of let go of fitness. As soon as you start letting things go, your nutrition goes in the toilet. Maybe you're not training as frequently because life is happening to you. You're busy. Maybe you have some kids. You're busy at work. All those things pile up, and it gets harder and harder. And one of the things I will tell you, as you get older, it doesn't get harder. Your body actually gets weaker if you just let it down. And I see this all the time, especially with women. In their 30s, they're always trying to get off the baby weight. In their 40s, they're talking about menopause. And in their 50s, they're always telling me, my body's falling apart. And all those 3 things can be fixed if you continued working out and eating good the entire time. Eating a flexible diet and training. Because majority of the time, in the 30s with the pregnancy weight, in the 40s with the menopause, in the 50s with the body falling apart, they all happen because women lose muscle mass over time. And when you lose muscle mass over time, your body gets weaker. You're not digesting foods as efficiently because, again, muscle's active tissue. So muscles utilize the food that you eat. You're able to better absorb carbohydrates, and your body needs more protein to fuel that. This is why they go hand in hand. So never stop. So if you want to get better as you get older and not worse, you can't stop. And if you have stopped, it's the perfect time right now to get started. Just start slow. Don't train like you did in your 20s, in your 40s. Approach it slowly. If you need any help with that, just click that link below, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.